Whenever it's time for the Olympics to roll around, I'm one of those people that just watches little bits and pieces. I have friends who, they tape all of it, and they're completely and utterly consumed by the entirety of the competition. But I'm just someone who, every once in a while, I'll turn it on and I'll watch some of the various different challenges. But I've come to the conclusion, at least at this point in my life, that I'm not really cut out to watch the Olympics because my heart gets broken for the athletes. They do these background presentations on the athletes so that you know their story. And what I found in this is that most of them, they haven't really had normal childhoods. You know, they've been formed and shaped and trained and exercised and nutritionalized in an almost inhuman way. That their whole lives have been dedicated to this one moment of competition. And the sacrifices that their parents have made are extraordinary. It feels like an overwhelming way of living. And on the day that competition comes up, sometimes it's just not their day. Maybe they're distracted, maybe their nerves overtake them, or maybe it's just not the right day for them. And even sometimes when they have consistently outperformed their competitors, on that particular day, they don't succeed. And it wrenches me when I see that. Nowhere is what I'm describing more in evidence than when it comes to the ice skating competitions. When they fall on the ice, it just feels devastating to me. I mean, we all know that when you fall, that the penalties are so significant that everything you've worked and sacrificed for is not going to come into fruition. When you fall down on the ice, you are not going to get a medal. And yet, they get back up again, and they keep skating as if it never happened at all. I don't know about you, but if that were me, I believe I would plant myself in the middle of that Olympic ice in a pool of my own tears and have an Olympic-sized temper tantrum. There's something heroic to me about that kind of a person that gets up after a humiliation and keeps striving, keeps moving forward. There's something amazing about people who can transcend the circumstances of their lives. Isn't that a beautiful word? Transcendence. We don't use it very often in our everyday vocabulary. To rise above, to supersede, to go beyond the ordinary limits of our lives, to transcend. I believe that transcendence is the key that unlocks this teaching of the Sermon on the Mount that we call the Beatitudes. Jesus says that you're blessed when you are poor in spirit, when you're hungry, when you're thirsty, when you are mourning, when you have been brought to meekness. That's a blessing. But we don't see it that way. A blessing. No. A blessing is money. A blessing is success. A blessing is power. A blessing is when everything that I want lines up just the way I want it in the timing that I desire. That's a blessing. Not mourning, not hunger, not thirst, not poverty of spirit. But when we find ourselves in that state of poverty, of hunger, of thirst, of mourning, then in that moment of humility, all the superfluousness of our life has been stripped away. And when that happens in your life, that moment, it becomes abundantly clear what's true. And what's true is that the thing that has been keeping you aloft the whole time is the power and presence of our God. Not your reputation, not your credentials, not your money. It's God who has been keeping you moving forward every single day. And we often don't understand or see it or acknowledge it until everything else has been wiped away. And that's the blessing. I would put before you that the entire philosophy of Jesus Christ, of Christianity, is to be found in that word transcendence. Isn't that the teaching of Jesus? That we can, through our faith, transcend from sin. That we can transcend from anger to forgiveness. That we can transcend from death to everlasting life. Isn't that the resurrection? That we can transcend the limitations of our own bodies and our lifespans. Through our faith in God, we can rise above the ordinary restrictions and limitations of the life that we live in. You have that power through your faith. And you need to know that. Because the world is a difficult place. And I suspect that it's about to become even more challenging. Because after all, we get sick. We lose our jobs. People betray us. Cancer cells multiply. There are famines and plagues and droughts. Empires rise and fall. People that we love die. And you can allow these things to cripple you, or you can rise up and keep skating.